They say anyone can do this. Well, guess what? Anyone is doing it. Hello everyone, nice to see you back. Yes, the birds are in the sky, the clouds are flying by, and Mr. Duncan has just eaten some apple pie. Hello everyone, welcome. It is another English addict coming to you live from the birthplace of English, which just happens to be, oh my goodness, I don't believe it. It's England. Yes. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you feeling happy? I hope you are feeling good today. I'm not feeling too bad. I had a nice, lovely sleep last night. I don't know why, but for the past few nights, I've had the most amazing sleep. One or two dreams, nothing too scary, nothing too horrific, but yes, rather nice. So I had a lovely sleep last night. I hope you feel lovely, relaxed, calm and comfortable today. Yes, we are back once again. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Duncan. I talk about the English language. But you might notice that I'm not the same as all the other English teachers on YouTube. Sometimes things here get a little hot and heavy. Very different indeed. I talk about English. Yes, I've been doing this for ever such a long time. Oh, shall I turn my echo off? I'm sorry. I know people don't like my echo. Apologise for that. Was my echo still on then? Sorry about that. Anyway, it's off now. Here we go then. Yes, for those who are wondering what this is, besides me having my head inside a bucket, well, we also have lots of English words, expressions, and I've been doing this for ever such a long time. How long have you been doing this for, Mr. Duncan? Thank you for asking. I've been doing this for nearly 15 years. Yes, we have made it to the end of another weekend and also the end of another week because it is Sunday. Thank you very much for joining me today. Very nice to see you here. It's a super duper day and it's Sunday, so I suppose we should all still be feeling happy. We should all still have a smile on our face because it is the weekend. By the way, something I want to start with. Here in the UK, people have got very excited for a certain reason because it would appear that, yes, we can go on holiday again. Yes, we can go on holiday again, everyone. It's been announced that there are certain parts of the world, there are places that we can travel to now around the world. I believe at least 3 of them are New Zealand, which is very far away, Australia, which is also very far away, and Singapore, which is also very far away and also very expensive. So all of those places are very expensive to actually travel to because you have to spend a lot of money flying there and also staying there. I was hoping that Greece would be on the green list. Unfortunately, we still cannot go to Greece, unfortunately. I'm very sad about that because I'm looking forward at some point, maybe next year, going to Greece, maybe Portugal, because apparently you can travel to Portugal once again. Very interesting. So it will be interesting to see what happens over the next few months as more and more countries start reopening and also allowing people to visit their countries again. So there is a little bit of good news for us all here in the UK, and I think a lot of people over the next few weeks will also be allowed to start travelling again. We keep our fingers crossed for that. Hello to the live chat. I suppose I should say hello to you as well. Hello everyone, nice to see you here today. Live from England on a Sunday afternoon. 12 minutes past 2 o'clock it is here today. Ooh, very nice. Hello to the live chat. Oh, hello. I can see that one particular person has been exercising their finger this weekend. They have the fastest finger on this Sunday afternoon. Congratulations to Vitas, because you are first on today's live chat. You see, I have to keep checking to make sure that I've switched my echo off, because a lot of people don't like the echo. They say, Mr. Duncan, we don't like your echo. Can you stop doing it, please? I have been busy trying to repair my studio because I had a little problem last week and also the week before. So I have had a few problems with my technology. So this week I've been doing a little bit of work, making some changes. I had to buy some new equipment as well to make sure that this works all right. So a very busy week and also a very busy Sunday as well. We have Mr. Steve coming later on. We are also having maybe 2 or 3 rounds of the sentence game. Would you like to do that? We will be playing the sentence game later on. Also some good news, by the way. In the garden, there have been some changes in the garden. Welcome back, everyone, because please give a round of applause, because guess what is back in the back garden? The bird feeder is back. Yeah! The bird feeder is back in the garden. I get so excited by these things, can you tell? So now we have the bird feeder. It is back in the garden. I have purchased a stand for my bird feeder to actually attach to. So now it is standing once again in the garden after spending nearly a year absent. So it's nice to see it back. And also the other good thing is the squirrels can no longer climb up to the bird seed. Yes, I have been watching the squirrels. They have been looking very angry because they can no longer climb up or jump from the trees. So my lovely bird feeder has been put back in the garden, and yes, the birds have been very busy indeed. Congratulations, Vitas. Yes, you are first on today's live chat. Very well done. Also, we have Beatrice Zenek. Hello, Zenek. Nice to see you here as well. Ricardo is here on the live chat. Marietta. We also have our usual resident troublemaker. Tomek is here as well. Nice to see you back. Palmyra, Marietta, also Mika watching in Japan. A big hello to you as well. Nice to see you here today. We are talking about a lot of things today. We have some questions to ask. We have the sentence game, as I mentioned. We will also be going to the beach a little bit later on because a lot of people now are able to start travelling and moving around a little bit more freely, including here in the UK, which is lovely. By the way, we had some elections take place over the past couple of days. Some very important elections. We have local elections. So this is where you actually vote for your local representative in your area. And of course, as usual, you normally have certain parties that you can choose from. So that has been going on over the past couple of days. The news has been talking about it all the time. In fact, I have to be honest with you. It is nice to have the news talking about something else and reporting something else besides coronavirus. So it is rather nice to hear something different coming from the news for a change, because we have had a lot of coronavirus, haven't we, really? We've been hearing about it so much. No, we need a rest. So how about a little bit of politics instead to take your mind off it? Maybe not. Questions to ask today. Oh, I have a question for you. Here's an interesting question. Do you ever watch TV game shows? Game shows, quiz shows on television. They are very popular. There are many different types of game show, quite often involving maybe 2 or maybe 4 people, and they are asked different questions, and then normally at the end there is one winner, and quite often they will win a big prize. Game shows. So what about you? Do you ever watch game shows? And the reason why I'm asking this is because Mr. Steve and myself, we have just started watching something, a TV show that was on many years ago. It's not on anymore. It was made in the 1980s, and we've started watching it because it is being repeated on television at the moment. And we have become rather addicted to this particular game show. We will be talking all about that later on. However, what about you? Do you ever watch game shows? And quite often they are very popular, incredibly popular. There are many game shows that I'm sure people enjoy watching. I suppose one of the most obvious ones, and certainly one that has been very popular over the past 20 years, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Many countries now have their own version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and we have it here still. Over 20 years the show has been going on British television. So what about you? Do you ever watch TV game shows? People have different opinions about game shows. Some people think they are very entertaining. Some people think they are a very good way of educating yourself, because quite often when questions are being asked on the game show, you can actually learn new things. So maybe that is one of the big positive things about game shows or quiz shows, is if you watch them, you can actually learn new things as well. So I like watching some of them. Palmyra says, I watch a game show called Golden Brain. I like the sound of that one. I would imagine that must be some sort of general knowledge quiz. So you ask questions and people have to answer the questions. So yes, game shows. The other one that used to be on, it's not on anymore. They've stopped making it here in the UK. But who remembers Deal or No Deal? So here in the UK, it has stopped being made. They haven't made any episodes of Deal or No Deal for many years. a few years now since it was on. However, over the world and around the world, Deal or No Deal is very popular. It's basically people choosing boxes. Can I have box number 7, please? And then they open the box and you have to find out how much money is inside the box. And then, of course, you have your own box that you have to open at the end. It's a very interesting game show. It is also the place where Meghan Markle started her career. Meghan Markle used to be one of the girls who opened the box on American TV. So the American TV version of Deal or No Deal, one of the young ladies who would open the boxes and show the amount of money inside, Meghan Markle. Did you know that? It's true. I'm not lying. Why would I lie to you? Tomek says, oh, I watch The Weakest Link. So that is a very unusual game show because they have lots and lots of contestants together at the same time. And slowly, as the show goes on, during each episode, normally they will eliminate each person one by one until there is only one person left. So The Weakest Link is a game show, general knowledge. Quite often there are questions that are asked. Some of them are very, very hard. Vittoria says, I don't like the one with the boxes. I prefer trying to guess the games like our sentence game. Word games. Interesting. I like that. There is a very popular game show here in the UK called Countdown. I don't know if you have it there where you are, but it is a general knowledge, and also quite often it is a game that is involving spelling. So quite often they will give you some random words. You choose the words and they are random. And then you have to make a word from those random letters. It's a very good game show. And it's been running for many, many years. Mustafa says, I never watch TV game shows. Some people find TV game shows a little bit boring or perhaps a waste of time. However, once again, we will be talking about this a little bit later on with Mr. Steve. We have started watching a game show that used to be on in the 1980s, and it is being repeated again. We will be talking about that a little bit later on. And also some unusual facts to go with it as well. We will also be looking at a very interesting word today, a word that you might hear used quite often. And the question I am asking with Mr. Steve a little bit later on is, what is a cliché? Cliché. As you can see the word there on the screen right now, it is a French word, and later on we are going to talk about and look at the interesting and strange world of clichés. What is it all about? What is it all about, Mr. Duncan? Well, if you stay tuned, you will find out. We are going on holiday now. Would you like to join us? Because we are going to the beach. And the reason why I'm doing this is because we are now able to travel to certain countries. Not many. I will be honest with you. There are not many countries on the list. However, there are some of them. And they also happen to be very expensive places as well. Some of the most expensive places in the world are now places that we can visit, we can fly to, because they are on our green list. So here we go. Mr. Steve is just around the corner. He is on his way. Until then, we are going to take a little break. We are going on holiday with myself and also Mr. Steve. We are going to enjoy some lovely fresh sea air as we go on the beach.
So here we are, Mr. Duncan and Mr. Steve, but where are we? We are now on the beach.
On the beach at a typical British beach scene. It's freezing cold. We're wrapped up in woolen winter clothes. The sun's out, it looks lovely, but it's actually very cold. So I've got the beach towel. And what have you got, Mr. Duncan?
I have my spade, so I can dig in the sand because we are on a sandy beach. And I have my bucket as well, my little bucket. So I can put the sand into the bucket and I can build a little sand castle.
And I've got the same. Matching. I've got the blue ones, you've got the red ones. So, are we going to start building sand castles, Mr. Duncan? I'm all excited.
I think Mr. Steve is very eager. Even though the wind is blowing, it is quite windy on the beach. We are very close to the sea. We are on the Welsh coast in a place called Aberdyfi. It's very nice normally, but unfortunately, it's a little cool and quite windy. What else have you got there, Steve?
I've got a beach towel.
Yeah,
which I'm now using to keep warm with.
Do you like Steve's beach towel?
I'm using it as a scarf to keep warm.
So let's start building some sandcastles. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. Oh, I do like to be beside the sea. All over the UK during the summer months, people come and they visit the seaside. They go to the beach. I don't know what it is about being near the sea. The sights, the sounds, the weather, and also the fresh air. To be honest with you, there is a lot of fresh air around today because it's so windy. And look at the sea. Isn't it beautiful? In fact, I think Mr. Steve is going to go into the water for a paddle. You paddle in the water. You splash around in the sea. that splashing around in the sea has made Mr. Steve feel very hungry, so he decides to go to the local chip shop. There's nothing like a bag of fish and chips, piping hot from the fryer, with extra salt and vinegar. Mr. Steve appears to be enjoying his chips. Delicious. Do you know what this bird is? It's a seagull, a very common bird that can often be found near the seaside or on the coast. We decided to see what would happen if we threw some of the chips on the ground. Needless to say, the result was chaos. You will often see seagulls at the seaside. So our day trip to the seaside is almost at an end as we walk off together into the sunset.
I don't know about you, but I really feel like going to the beach right now. Very lovely. I hope you enjoyed that. Setting the scene for those who are now preparing to go away, go on their holidays. Yes, some people now are preparing to go on their vacation. Aren't they lucky? I think so.
Hello! Hello, Mr. Duncan. Hello, wonderful viewers. All of you across the world.
Wow, would you like some applause?
No, not today.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, I'll go on then. Go on then.
Have some applause.
I was waiting for the Mr. Duncan.
It was a bit slow.
Oh, that's a bit of a slow audience today,
I think,
Mr. Duncan.
I think what they were just thinking, shall we give him applause or not? Does he deserve it?
Well, it's lovely to be here. And I noticed people, because you put that video on of our holiday in Wales.
Yes.
Which was, when was that, 2 years ago?
I think it might be 3 years ago.
3 years ago, yes. There on the beach.
Yes.
Eating fish and chips, feeding the birds.
Yes.
The seabirds. But a lot of people have been felt inspired by that.
Oh.
Belarusia is painting a picture of a beach because she wants to go and visit the seaside. And Mika, because she lives inland, is just dreaming about the time when she can go and visit a beach.
Yes.
As are many of us at this time. We want to go and see the seaside.
Yeah. We had a little bit of good news last week from our government, and they have said that we can travel to some places. However, there is a slight problem. Most of the places that they've named are either very, very far away and also very, very expensive to stay at or in. So the countries are, for example, New Zealand.
Yes.
It's on the other side of the planet.
Just a weekend trip away for us.
Yes, you can go away to New Zealand for a couple of days.
I think it takes about 36 hours to get to New Zealand by plane.
Australia as well. Oh, isn't that
yes.
good?
Oh, yes.
Shall we just go to Australia and have a look round?
Another weekend trip, yes. I think.
Let's go for the weekend to Australia.
Iceland, that's another one we can go to. I mean, don't think probably most Brits would want to go to Iceland in the
Yes.
summer.
No. Well,
Well, they might.
the thing is, it's a beautiful place and it's not that far away. So I think 2, maybe 3 hours on a plane, you can get to Iceland. So that's good.
I've been there. It was very nice.
That's better than 27 hours.
But I wouldn't want to spend like a 2-week holiday there because you soon run out of things to do.
Yes.
And there isn't really a nice beach to go to. If you want sun, beach, Iceland isn't normally your first choice.
No,
you go
you-
there because of the wonderful scenery
Yes.
and the hot spas.
That's it.
And for something different.
Yeah.
Again, it's expensive. Portugal is on our list.
Portugal is on the list, so this is on our green list. So these are places that we can now travel to. Portugal, another place that is renowned for being very expensive to
Tis for us.
for most people, so it's quite expensive to
Beautiful. But we can't go to Italy yet. We can't go to Spain. We can't go to France. They are not on our list of designations for holidays
Yeah.
that we would be allowed to go to.
That's it. And also the place I was mentioning earlier, of course, was Greece, a place we've been to before. And a lot of British people do like going to Greece and also, I suppose, southern Spain as well.
Yes.
Benidorm. That is a very popular destination.
But
for...
we can't go there yet.
No.
We're not allowed to.
However, Steve, we can go to Singapore.
Right. Okay. Again, far away.
And the most expensive place in the world to stay.
Israel. That's another one on our list.
If you want to actually stay in Singapore, you've got to be wealthy, pretty rich, to be honest, because it is expensive and it's a long way away.
I'm sure Israel is a lovely country, but it's not one of the top destinations for Britons to go on holiday to. In fact, I don't think I've ever known anyone to go on holiday to Israel. Obviously, if you've got friends and family there, you can now go and visit them, but it wouldn't be a holiday destination per se. Per se.
Yes.
There's an interesting phrase, Mr.
Okay.
Duncan.
Yeah. What does it mean then, as you're using it?
As such.
Yes. As it is, as it stands.
As
so that
such.
thing.
Per se. Yes, yes. When would you use that phrase?
Well, you just used
I've
it.
just used it.
Yeah.
Would
Something-
somebody say they were quite posh if they used that phrase?
Not really. It just means that they have a slightly larger vocabulary. But
Yes.
the thing is, yes, as such, as it is. So that thing is done as it is, as required, or as it occurs.
Sounds like that could be sort of. What's the derivation of that phrase? It sounds not. It's not Italian. What am I thinking of, Mr. Duncan?
I have
Per
no-
se, it's probably Greek or something like that.
Yes, it probably stems from Latin.
Latin. That's what I was looking
Okay,
for.
so
He's so clever. Mr. Duncan's so clever. He's a brain box.
you just mentioned Israel.
Yes.
Here's an interesting story. I've never told this story before.
Do I know it?
No, maybe you do, but perhaps you've forgotten it.
I'm all ears.
Way back in the 1980s, the mid-1980s, myself and my friend Sean, we were going to work in Israel, off the coast of Israel, on a ship called the Voice of Peace, a very famous ship, a radio station that is anchored just off the coast of Israel, and we were going to go there. We were all planned, and we knew some of the people that were working there, and we were going to go there and work as radio presenters, as disc jockeys. Hey, yeah, we were going to be disc jockeys, but we didn't do it in the end. You know what it's like. Sometimes you have plans, you make plans, you have ideas. Let's do it. And then suddenly you change your mind.
Is that radio station still there?
I'm not sure if the Voice of Peace still exists.
Well,
Let's face it, that part of the world is not the most peaceful of places. Over the past couple of days,
unfortunately not.
we've been seeing some things happening there.
So we won't be going there on holiday, unfortunately.
No.
In fact, we won't be. We've decided we're not going to go anywhere. We will go to Wales because that's where we always go.
We are not going abroad because too many people will be doing it. So I know what's happening, and it has happened, Steve. A lot of people now are rushing to get to these places. Apparently, Portugal already, people are booking up hotels, flights for Portugal. They've gone crazy this weekend.
Well, a lot of people at work, even months ago, even in January, before we knew, and last year in December, I've got work colleagues who were booking holidays for sort of June this year, in anticipation that they would be able to go. Yeah. And I know a lot of them have booked holidays to places that are on the banned list. So like Spain, popular destination for...
So there is a green list of places you can go to, and there is a red list, and these are the places that you still can't.
I wonder what happens if you do go to them.
Well, I think you have to stay in quarantine.
When you come back?
Yes, you have to pay £1,500 to spend time in isolation in a hotel.
So if we, for example, decided we wanted to go to Paris for a weekend.
Yes.
When we came back, we would have to go to a hotel, pay £1,000 and isolate for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Or Spain.
Yeah. As I believe it, I think that's actually the amber list. There is a green list you can go to, an amber list, which means you have to quarantine when you get back, and the red list is you cannot go there at all, as I understand it.
Or you will get a heavy fine.
Yes, a very, very big fine. So we've decided not to travel this year abroad, although 2022, yes, who knows, we might do it. We might do it.
Tom X was excited about going to Iceland because he thinks that women are going to be freely available there for him.
What?
And a married man, well, I presume you're married, I don't know.
What is your image of Iceland? I'm just wondering what...
Or of women, for that matter.
They were just women, standing around in Iceland waiting for Tomek to arrive.
Dressed in heavy furs, because it's obviously very cold. No, I'm sure that there are modern clothes which people would wear in Iceland that make them look very attractive. Yeah, I went on a work trip.
Yes, you told us last week.
Did I?
Yes.
So I didn't have to pay a penny for it. We went for 4 days. It was very exciting. Yes. I would go again. I could take Mr. Duncan, maybe.
I'm not sure if I want to go there. Somewhere with some sunshine.
Yes. I mean, you'd have had to maybe... If we'd had a baking hot summer and you wanted to get I don't know what it's like in the summer. We went in February. It was quite cold. I remember going onto an ice sheet.
Okay.
In these snowmobiles. The ice sheet, there's a famous ice sheet on Iceland that's melting because of global warming, and it will be gone in about 10 years' time, apparently.
I thought you were going to say 10 days.
No, apparently this...
You better get to Iceland quickly because it's melting. It's going to be
Switzerland.
gone.
Mr. Bruno.
Okay.
From Switzerland. Hello, Mr. Bruno.
Hello.
I would, even as a child, Switzerland was somewhere I always wanted to go. Ever since a young child, that's where we're going to go. But the thing is, it's also very expensive for Britons to visit.
We do seem to have a taste for expensive places. Well, of course, we were very lucky a couple of years ago because we did go to Portugal and we were treated by Steve's company.
Courtesy of the company I work for.
Yes. And a few weeks before, we went to Paris. So we did have 2 holidays for free.
Oh, that's because of my success, Mr. Duncan.
I'm trying to I'm trying to explain something here, Steve. We don't care about your success.
Well, that's why we went.
Yes.
Because I'd done well that year.
I've lost my complete...
Better than anyone else, in fact. Okay. I was number 1. Numero uno.
Yes. What are you now?
Actually, I'm number 1 again.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'm at the moment. Whether it will be so at the end of the year, I don't know.
So maybe another free holiday?
I doubt it.
Oh, okay.
What were you going to say, Mr. Duncan?
I can't remember. You kept talking over me.
Going back to Switzerland... When I was a young lad
Okay.
at school,
Wow.
and probably you might relate to this. Then they used to send you, the school used to go on trips abroad
Yes.
to different countries.
Okay.
So sometimes you go to France and they'd organise a trip, or Spain. And I remember I never went on any of them, because not everybody goes on the school trip, because you've got to have, parents, wealthy parents, in order to be able to afford for you to go on these school
I
trips.
thought your parents were rich. I
No,
thought
they
you
weren't.
came from a rich, posh family. Anyway,
They
and
were, as you
Steve-
say, asset rich,
Steve-
cash poor.
Yeah. Okay. Then.
No,
Steve-
but can I finish the story?
Oh,
No.
is there a point to it?
Yes. Well, the point is, I wanted to go. I came home one day. I was probably about 10. Came home to my parents very excitedly and said, "There's a school trip to Switzerland. Can I go?" And I had to be very politely told that I couldn't. I didn't know at the time it was because they couldn't afford to send me, but that was the reason.
My goodness.
Uh,
What happened? Was there a financial crash or something?
no, just Dad liked to spend all his money.
Did he buy another boat? Anyway,
My father was not, let's just say he was not very financially astute.
okay then. He was bad with money.
He was very bad with money, yes.
Steve.
Any money he had, he spent.
Okay, Steve.
Obviously not on us. Well, he did. That's not fair. He spent a lot of money on our education, the important things.
Okay, Steve. This is very interesting to you.
It is.
But to no one else.
I'm sure it's interesting to people watching. I'm sure they can relate. How many people, for example, if you were Mr. Bruno, for example, or Tomek in the Netherlands, or Belarusia, I shouldn't say the Netherlands because I don't think Tomek likes that. I'm not sure. Anyway, did you have trips abroad, maybe, to come to England? And did your parents finance the trip and send you? What's next, Mr.
Oh, I'm waiting for the answers for your question. You see, it's a fascinating question. We were talking about something earlier on, Steve. If I can just have your concentration for 5 seconds.
Yes.
We were talking about TV game shows, and we've started watching a television show, a very interesting show, a game show based on the game of darts. I'm sure you know what darts is. You normally have a board with numbers on, and then you have to throw a small pointed dart at the board, and you try to score as much as you can. There was a TV show many years ago, and at the moment it is being repeated on one of the many channels that we have here in the UK. And I couldn't resist mentioning it because we were watching it last night, like a couple of sad fools. We were watching it, and the name of the show is Bullseye, which I think is very clever. That's a very clever name for a show about throwing darts, because you have to hit the board, and especially the middle of the dart board. They call that the bullseye because it looks like a bull's eye, the eye of a bull. Bullseye, it was around in the 1980s. In fact, it started in 1980. And it ran. Do you know how long it ran for? 15 years. With the same person as the host. 15 years. Can you imagine that? So here's another photograph. This is the show that we've started watching. People have to answer questions. They have to also use their skill at throwing darts at the dartboard. And we absolutely love this show, don't we?
It's a nostalgic sort of window back into the 1980s. And it's quite amazing to see just how things have changed.
It is. It is.
And particularly
The people.
the people.
Yes.
People are just so ordinary on this show. They're just ordinary people wearing ordinary clothes, and it's a window into attitudes and
Yeah.
everything from
Yeah.
1980. And it's incredible to see how things have changed in 40 years.
It's very interesting to see how TV shows were produced as well, and the types of people they used as contestants. Because nowadays, of course, many of the people that appear on game shows, especially these lively game shows where people are getting excited and a little bit crazy, quite often they are planted there. They are actually put there by agencies, talent agencies. Did you know that? So quite often TV shows that need some extrovert people as contestants, they will actually go to an agency and they will get part-time or maybe amateur actors to appear as contestants, because then they can perform and do all the things that the show wants.
Yes.
However, this particular show, the people are what I would call real people.
Ordinary people.
Yes, they seem very nervous and very shy and a little awkward, which is brilliant.
Except they have agreed to go on a game show on TV, so they can't be completely ordinary.
No,
They must have something about them that makes them want to appear on television.
that's right.
But yes, and well, Mr. Duncan, I thought I could draw a dartboard on you
Yes.
and use you as target practice. It was very popular in the 80s because I used to play in the 70s as well. Darts was always on the television.
Darts used to be one of the biggest things, almost as popular as football is now.
Or snooker.
Yes. So darts used to be on the TV all the time. And then in the mid-1980s, suddenly people stopped being interested in darts. And then it disappeared from the television. However, this game show, Bullseye, continued. It went on until 1995 before it ended. And it used to have 20 million people watching every week.
Which would have been half the population of the UK at that time.
That's just incredible.
Well, probably slightly less, but that is incredible that nearly half the population of the UK were watching that programme. If programme makers could get even 1 million people to watch their programmes now, they would be ecstatic.
Yes. So bear in mind for a moment that this TV show used to get 20 million people watching every episode. Nowadays, if a TV show gets 200,000 viewers, they consider it a success. Can you believe it? So there are people on YouTube that have more viewers watching their videos than some people watch TV shows nowadays. It's incredible. It's unbelievable. So the game basically is you have to throw darts, you have to answer questions, and this is all wrapped up in a wonderful feeling of nostalgia, and I think that's the reason why we love watching it. But of course, we can't forget the guy who hosts Bullseye, Jim Bowen. He is a legend. Sadly, he died 3 years ago, but he's still remembered fondly, and he was the presenter for 15 years on this show, and we absolutely love it.
Look it up, you'll like it.
And I think the reason is what you said, Steve. You are right. It's nostalgia.
Yes.
Because I remember watching it as a child with my parents. We used to sit and watch TV on a Sunday evening, and Bullseye would always be on. And so I always have these lovely fond memories as well of sitting with my family.
And it's a very simple game show to understand. There's nothing complicated. You just throw darts and answer questions. And the person that scores the most darts, scores on the dartboard, wins.
Yes.
And Tomek makes a point here that many quiz shows on the BBC are very complex
Yes.
and have complicated rules. Well, I'm sure that there must be lots of these shows available to see on YouTube.
Well, there are lots. If you put Bullseye TV game show or game show on YouTube search, there are lots of episodes of this show on YouTube. So you can actually watch this on YouTube. There are lots of clips lots of episodes actually on YouTube, uploaded illegally.
Probably, by today's standards, the programme probably isn't as politically correct as you would imagine, but I mean, it's,
Well,
doesn't bother us.
I'm not sure how is it not politically correct?
Well, I think that sort of women come across as housewives, and that's about it.
Well, I think in the 1980s,
Just-
but in the 1980s, most women were housewives. So that's what I mean. The attitudes then,
Oh yes, it reflects the time.
and the family unit was very different. The man would go out to work, and the woman would stay at home
Yeah.
and look after the kids
Yes,
and make supper.
things were beginning to change, but it was a very slow progress
Yes.
at that time.
I wasn't planning on getting into the real serious stuff, but this show is well known for another thing, Steve. Do you know what it is?
Bloopers.
No. It is known for its very bizarre prizes.
Yes.
And if you get through to the final at the end of the show and you win, quite often you will win something very unusual. Sometimes it is a car. You will win a car. However, sometimes, for some reason, I don't know why, you would win a speedboat. A very strange thing to give someone when you think about it, because you
Yes.
have to assume quite a few things. First of all, you have to assume that they are interested in speedboats. Not everyone is interested in speedboats. The other thing is you have to make sure that they live near some water.
True.
Because they might live in the middle of a city where there are no rivers or lakes.
Well, I think we found out afterwards, after watching a documentary about this, that they'd for some reason done a deal with a boat manufacturer to supply them with prizes.
I think so.
Anyway, enough of that.
But it's brilliant.
Watch it, have some fun.
I just love the fact that people would win a prize that, to be honest, for many people during the 1980s would be quite useless. So I can only imagine what they did, Steve. They
Sold
took,
it.
Yeah, they took the prize and then sold it and then divided the money. And I suppose the same thing would happen if they won a car. So sometimes they would win a car and sometimes a holiday as well. However, there is one more thing that Bullseye is well known for. Having one of the contestants was a mass murderer. I'm not joking. This guy, very quickly, I'm not putting him on the screen very long, but this guy is a mass murderer, and he appeared on Bullseye. Now, I believe he was a mass murderer after or around the same time that he was on Bullseye. So they didn't know he was a mass murderer until after. So they weren't looking for contestants who had serious criminal records, nothing like that. But it's amazing, yeah. And that, what? Can you believe it? Incredible. Bullseye. Search on YouTube for Bullseye and you will be entertained because, well, I hope you will be anyway after that recommendation. Hey, guess what, Steve?
What?
It's 3 o'clock.
Oh,
What? I need a break. I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to get Mr. Steve to massage my coccyx. And then we will be back because now it's time for those flags of the world.
all come on at the same time.
Yes, we are live, Steve. That was good. I hope you enjoyed that conversation that you heard then. You weren't supposed to hear it, but...
What?
Well, you were talking. I said to Steve, I said, stand by. The mic is open.
Didn't hear that.
No. And Steve seems to think that you will all leave me because of Flags of the World, but it isn't true. It gives me a break, but it also gives you a little break as well.
Maybe they don't want a break.
Well, I do. I have to have a break. I've been doing this for an hour.
We promise that we will find some other things to show.
Yes, okay.
At 3 o'clock.
You worry too much, Steve.
Right, what are we doing?
Well, what are we doing? Well, we are, of course, live. I should point out that we are live at the moment. And looking out of the... Oh, look at that, Steve, outside at the moment. Isn't that lovely? So that's live right now. But also we have something else to show as well, because Mr. Steve has been very busy over the past few weeks. And at great expense, a lot of expense, we've borrowed one of the Mars rovers from NASA, and we've sent it into the garden to have a look at Mr. Steve's grass that he planted a couple of weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
So 3 weeks ago, Mr. Steve planted some grass, and now we have the Mars rover has gone over to where Mr. Steve's new grass is growing, and we are now going to take a look at the grass cam. The grass cam is on your screen right now. So
Look at that.
Oh, Steve.
That has taken... Sorry to bore everyone, talking about boring things. I planted that 3 weeks ago. Grass seed should germinate in 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
But because it's been so cold for the last few weeks, well below average temperature, probably between 5 and 7 degrees, it's taken 3 weeks to germinate.
And
I thought it had rotted off.
And you're criticising me for being boring.
And that's a close-up, so it's only probably 2 or 3 millimetres tall, or 5 millimetres tall, maybe.
Or 8 millimetres, or a dozen.
So if we go back to it, at the end of the show, Mr. Duncan, do you think it would have grown very much?
Well, it's growing now. Can you see it? I can see it. I don't know if the viewers can see it, but it is actually growing. I can see it's growing. If you look very closely, you can see it's slowly getting longer and longer.
Can you hear it growing, squeezing through all those rocks and pebbles, and soil and sand? Well, because I didn't exactly prepare the ground as well as I would have liked.
That's good. It looks good.
Because the soil is awful here.
So in a few days, we will have lovely grass outside the house.
Belarusia is excited. Thank you, Belarusia.
In fact, there is an expression in English that says, it's like watching grass grow. And this is literally what we are doing. We are literally watching grass grow at the moment with our space rover that NASA have lent to us. It's $250 million worth of technology that is bringing this lovely image of Mr. Steve's little shoots of grass.
Green shoots of recovery.
Oh, yes, we could do with that.
That's something that you say when you're talking about, say you've been in a recession in an economy.
Okay.
Then economists and politicians will often use the phrase, we are seeing the green shoots of recovery.
Yes.
Meaning that the economy is starting to pick up. Businesses are growing, and everything's going to be well with the world in terms of GDP.
Okay, that's good. So I hope you enjoyed that. A little look in the garden, courtesy of our NASA Mars rover. Very nice. I have to send it back to them tonight.
It's much warmer outside now. I think it's gone up 10 degrees in the last few days to normal May temperatures.
It feels
for us.
warm. However, next week it's going to get very cold and wet again. It does not feel like summer is around the corner. It does not. Talking of politics, we've been very busy here in the UK voting for our local representatives around the country. You may or may not have heard the news, but yes, there have been some big changes in all of the areas, and of course lots of things concerning Scotland, because there are some people in Scotland who want to break away from the United Kingdom. They really want to stay Scottish and be Scottish, but without England, Wales and Northern Ireland telling them what to do. So a very big story that's been occurring over the past couple of days. And we went out, didn't we? We went out to vote. There were lots of COVID restrictions.
You have to take your own pen with
Yes.
you to vote.
I thought this was really good. You have to take your own pen when you are marking your paper. Apparently, it should have been a pencil, apparently, because you're not really supposed to use a pen. Did you know that? It's supposed to actually be a pencil.
Right.
So I have a strange feeling that maybe our votes were not counted because we used a pen.
It said pen or pencil.
Oh, okay, then that's all right then. So that's what we did last week. We went out and voted, and the results are actually still coming in. However, big news reported this morning that Sadiq Khan is still London's mayor. So he's staying there
That's right.
as London's mayor.
I knew that. I saw that.
I didn't say you didn't know. Did I?
Of course, the big shock is that everybody thought that because the Conservatives had such a bad record when it came to handling the pandemic, that they would lose a lot of local council seats, but they didn't. In fact, they gained
Yes.
at the expense of our Labour Party.
Well, what you might find, Steve, is the opinion is the opposite. That people think that actually the government now have done a really good job.
Well, this is the problem.
Because the memory of the population disappears and fades away each week. So now people think, oh, they've done a very good job.
Just because we had a good vaccine rollout compared to other countries in Europe, people are just remembering that. What they're forgetting about is that the 100,000 people that died before that meant that we had the worst death rate in the world. They've forgotten all that. They're just remembering the vaccine rollout.
Well, that's people. That's people. That's what happens. The population is always very. Sometimes they are very fickle. They can change their mind very quickly. But also, quite often, we have very short memories. We forget things very quickly. So when the news is reporting something, we get very excited about it, and then a couple of weeks later, we've forgotten all about it.
But of course, I think we agree as well, and a lot of people are saying that it's Brexit that's had a lot to do with this, because as well, so the majority voted to leave, so therefore they're voting for the party that they think they still want to vote for.
Yes.
Alessandra says that it's 500 years since Scotland wanted to break away from England. Well, that, of course, is very correct. They've been wanting to break away forever.
Yeah, this is not a new thing.
It's just that recently, in the last couple of decades, it started to build momentum with the SNP party.
Yes.
Whether it ever happens or not.
But the interesting thing is, Wales is also now starting to push for independence. So this is not a small thing. This is actually a very big thing. So this means the destruction of the United Kingdom. It means the United Kingdom will no longer be the UK. But if it will happen or not, well, at the moment I'm pretty doubtful, because it is a big change, to be honest.
It's a big risk for a relatively small country to do that. But who knows? It's up to them.
Yes. What?
I don't think the Welsh will do it.
No, they're trying. No, they've announced last year that they want, when they get the first chance, when all of this madness is over, they also want to push for independence.
Yes, but Wales's economy depends mainly on people from England visiting them.
And I think that is one.
That's their economy.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons
And
why.
sheep.
That's one of the reasons why it's not happening.
Yeah. Whereas at least Scotland have got other resources and other means to make money. I mean, it's not to say that Wales couldn't find other ways to make money, but essentially, I think their economy is essentially tourism.
Well, yes, I think so. Well, I think tourism is a big thing, but I don't think that matters. It won't make any difference.
No, because they're fiercely patriotic.
No, it won't make any difference to people going there as tourists.
No, it won't.
I don't think it will change anything. Anyway, it's not going to happen. This is all, I think, maybe 50 or maybe 100 years away. I don't think it's happening this week.
Who knows? Everyone wants to become independent. Even Cornwall, according to Christina, wants to become independent. Probably, well, parts of Spain, the Basque country, they want to be independent. It's happening everywhere.
Well, California.
Yes.
California used to be separate from the rest of the United States, and it wants to go back to being an independent state. So even California wants to go back to where it was before it became one of the United States.
Well, it was a big problem in Spain. Was it last year? A couple of years ago, there was a lot of upheavals in Spain.
Okay.
I think is it the Basque region, and one of the leader was arrested or had to flee or something like that because of calls for independence. So, yeah, it's happening everywhere.
It's still
And,
actually, to be honest, Steve, it still is a hot topic there. It's a very sensitive,
yes.
a very sensitive issue. So maybe we will,
Even more so than Scotland,
yes, very much more.
because I think most Scots probably want to stay. You know, it's 50-50.
This is my, by the
50-50.
way, this is my way of telling Steve to stop talking about it.
Each country has its own issues.
At least you didn't mention Northern Ireland.
And let's not go down that road. If
With-
you say let's not
with-
go down that road, it means you don't want to talk about that subject. You don't
Yes.
want to go there.
Okay.
It's too complex.
No,
It's too divisive,
Yeah.
and we may cause arguments and all sorts of Anyway, I don't even understand. Nobody really understands Northern Ireland. It's so
Steve.
complex.
Yeah, okay then. So when I say don't talk about it, what I actually mean is don't talk about it, not start talking about
Right,
it.
move on then. Move on.
We're looking at a very interesting word that is sometimes used when a person says something or does something
Catalonia.
or sorry. We've moved on now.
Marietta's corrected me. It was a Catalonian region in Spain.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
Well,
I'm sure that's got. Well, I'm sure the Basque region want to have their own
Steve.
Basque separatist
That's
movement at one point. I don't
Yeah.
think I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I think I'm right. Right, move on. What were you saying?
Oh dear.
I'm in one of those moods today when I'm going to annoy Mr. Duncan.
Yes, but if it's annoying me, it's probably going to be annoying everyone
Oh,
out
it's
there.
entertaining. It's entertainment.
Well, make your mind up. Make your mind up. So we are going to look at a very interesting word that people use quite often, and I think this is an interesting word. What is a cliche? Cliche. It is a word that is sometimes used, and I think sometimes it's used without actually thinking about what the word means and what it actually represents. When we talk about cliches, well, what we are actually defining by that, we are using the word cliche as a noun that means a phrase or opinion that is overused, or when used is seen as lacking any imagination or thought. So a cliche is something that is said or maybe done that has been done many times before, or perhaps has been done in a lazy way without putting much research or thought into what you are saying or doing. And of course we have the adjective as well, Steve.
Yes.
Cliched.
I'm listening.
Cliched. A thing that is cliched can be an occurrence, a word, an expression, something that you've heard many times before. Quite often we will describe, for example, a cliched expression. Can you think of a cliched expression?
You've put me on the spot now. Put me on the spot.
There are
If
literally
you say you put someone on the spot, it means you expose them to having to say something. To
yes. Well, just think of a cliched expression. Just any expression.
The world is a stage.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a cliche.
Well, it's a well-worn expression.
There are plenty of fish in the sea. Oh,
Is that a cliche?
it is. Yes, people always say it.
Okay.
So it's expected. When your friend is crying, and they won't stop crying because their boyfriend or girlfriend has split up with them. They've been dumped, and they're crying, and I'm trying to think of something to say. I want to help this person. What shall I say? Oh, I know. Don't worry. There are plenty of other fish in the sea. Oh dear.
Don't tell me that. What a cliche.
Oh, what a cliche.
It's something you would say to try and make somebody feel better, but it might not necessarily be true.
But it's not very... You're not using any imagination. You're just saying the first thing that comes into your head. Don't worry. There's always more fish in the sea.
Well...
You know, that expression has never helped anyone in the history of words.
It's probably quite good if you're young, but if you're... Yes, it's a cliched expression. It's not. It's said because you've heard it before. It's probably not really going to give any real advice. I mean, I could say, to Tomek right now that if you went to Iceland, there's plenty of fish in the sea.
That doesn't work.
I think it does.
Plenty of fish in the sea in Iceland.
Yes. Well, he mentioned going to Iceland.
Any particular
earlier.
type of fish? Maybe cod?
No, I'm referring to women.
Oh, okay.
Because earlier, people know. Pay attention.
I am paying attention, but I just have no idea what that has to do with cliches.
Well, it doesn't matter. Let's move on.
Yes.
It does. It is relevant because Tomek earlier mentioned about women being available in Iceland.
Yes.
So,
But what is the cliche?
Well, the phrase, I've just used the phrase.
There are plenty of fish in the sea.
In Iceland, meaning women.
But you're not trying to make him feel better.
Well, I might be.
He's not upset.
Well, let's move on. Why don't you give us an example, Mr. Duncan?
I just
of a
have.
cliched expression. Well, only one.
Yes, well, there are many. There's any time you say something to a person and you're not thinking about what it is you're going to say, you're just trying to say something to make them either calm down or shut up. You're saying anything. There's plenty of fish in the sea. It'll all come out in the wash. Everything will be okay. There's always some light at the end of the tunnel. We might even say that is a cliche. Telling someone, don't worry, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You might see that as a cliche, even though it's also I suppose it is an expression that people have used a lot recently. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. Everything will always be okay in the end.
It's an idiom, but it's also a cliche. Victoria has a good example.
Okay.
English people talking about the weather is a cliche.
Yes.
You always expect English people to constantly talk about the weather, which we do.
Yes, and that is very true as well. That is a cliche that is 100% true.
Although the way Victoria is saying it, you could say, yeah, exactly. It's a cliche. You always expect it. If you meet and talk to a British person, probably the first thing they will use to try and get the conversation going is the weather. I mean, it's what me and my mother talk about every night.
Yes.
My mother's 90, but the first thing she'll normally say to me is, "Oh, it's been a bit cold today, hasn't it? Or it's been windy today.
Yeah.
Or we've had a lot of rain today, haven't we?"
Yes.
Just gets the conversation going. Whereas if you lived on the equator, or in a country that was, or like Iceland, probably, in a country where the weather doesn't vary very much, then it's difficult to talk about the weather. I wonder how people get conversations going. Say if you live in a tropical country.
Like Malaysia.
You know, you do when you meet up with your friends, oh, it's hot today, isn't it?
You know,
You can't say that because it's always hot.
Ooh, I'm trying to get in there, Steve. Can I just get my words in edgeways there? Steve, in Asian countries, quite often people will ask, what are you doing or where are you going? Where are you going? That's very common. So maybe in hot countries, instead of talking about the weather, they might just say, what are you doing or where are you going?
Or where have you been today?
Yes. So, but where are you going or what are you doing? Those are the two, because there is always something that a person is going to do or a place they're going to. So you are guaranteed to get a response every time. It always used to happen to me in China. In China, wherever I was, someone would ask, Mr. Duncan, where are you going? And I always thought it was a very strange question, but apparently that is small talk. That's small talk in China. Where are you going? So here we will actually say, oh, isn't it cold today? Oh, do you think it will rain tomorrow?
Yes, if somebody said to you here, where are you going? Your immediate reaction in the UK, well, what's it got to do with you? Mind your own business. I'm not telling you where I'm going.
Yeah.
That's how people would react here.
Yeah,
if you met somebody in the UK.
That's what I used to say in China.
I said, oh, where are you going? Mind your own business.
I just thought it was
How
very,
dare you ask me that question?
it's very personal.
People would not ask that question in the UK. If you ever come to the UK and want to start talking to people, don't ask them, where are you going? People
Yes.
won't like it.
Well, what are you doing?
Where have you been?
Yes. So
Because, you know.
small talk for people who are visiting this country, and by that I mean England, talk about the weather. Open your conversation with, isn't it a nice day? Or, oh, I don't like this rain. Oh, or do you think it will rain later? Or what about this wind? Isn't it? Oh, it's very cold today, don't you think? So copy Mr. Steve's mother. But the thing I find amazing is Mr. Steve's mother can talk about the weather for about 20 minutes.
We all can in England.
Without stopping.
In the UK, I should say, we can all talk about the weather all the time.
Yes.
Because in our country, the weather is constantly changing. It's never the same. Very rarely do we get periods where the weather is the same.
No.
It's different every day.
Here's another one, Steve. We're talking about cliches. You might have a cliched story. So we've read books, maybe certain types of story. Love stories. Oh, dear. Romance. Boy meets girl. Boy falls in love with girl. Girl finds other man. Goes off with other man. Boy feels very upset. Other man, not nice. Girl feels hurt. Goes back to the boy for comfort. And then they get back together again and live happily ever after.
What a cliched story, Mr. Duncan.
What a cliche.
In other words,
It's been...
that plot
Yes.
has been used in romantic books forever.
Yes. Boy meets girl. Boy falls in love with girl. Or maybe girl falls in love with boy. Or maybe boy falls in love with boy. Ooh.
Or girl with girl.
Ooh.
Or, yeah, whatever combination
That's
you
just-
want in there.
That's disgusting.
Or all three people might fall in love, have
Yes.
a relationship.
Yes.
Could be anything.
Yes.
You see, that wouldn't be a cliche.
They might be Mormons.
Maybe, yes, maybe I mean, yes, you could vary that story to make it more interesting so that it wasn't a cliche.
Yes.
I mean, sooner or later, two people are going to get together somewhere.
Maybe you could have a boy fall in love with an alien from another planet. You see, I've never... Has that ever happened? Has there ever been a film or a movie? This might be a good idea. We could better write this down. A boy, a young person, or maybe a girl falls in love with an alien. But I don't mean an alien that looks like a human. I mean, a sort of... She thinks, oh, he's quite nice.
It could happen. I mean, people fall in love with their dogs, their cats, all sorts of animals that they keep as pets, and they're not human. Well, I'm just saying, if people can fall in love with a non-human, if you can fall in love with an animal, a dog, a cow, then you could probably fall in love with an alien from another planet that had,
That all I can say.
weird shaped head and big eyes.
Yes,
You
maybe.
probably could fall in love.
Maybe they have slime coming out of their mouth, and maybe slime is your thing. Maybe you are turned on by slime. You see? A good story, though. That would be a good story. A human being falling in love with an alien.
I think it's probably happened. Pedro says, "Hello, Mr. Steve. How are you feeling today?" And my answer is, all the better for knowing that you are watching.
Oh,
Is
what-
that a cliche?
that is a cliche.
That's a cliche,
Yes.
but it's true.
All the better for seeing you.
If only I could see a bit more. I've only.
So we often think of cliched stories, quite often with romance, because normally there are only so many things you can do with romantic stories. There aren't many variations, and of course there was that horrible trend during the early 2000s of the romantic comedy. Romantic comedies. Now there is a big cliche.
Rom-coms.
Because they always had the same plot, always had the same story. So romantic comedies, rom-coms, or any film that's ever starred Jennifer Aniston, basically.
Somebody mentioned about another word which is similar, stereotype.
Yes, well, that is another word we can use, yes. We will be looking at that in a moment.
Oh, are they synonyms?
They can be used as synonyms, yes. So there are many other words as well we can use besides cliche, believe it or not. So maybe a cliched point of view in politics. And this is interesting because we've been hearing a lot of this recently with the local elections taking place here in the UK. We've been hearing a lot of cliches from politicians promising everything will get better. I stand for fairness and equality, and I want everyone to have a good standard of living and a livable wage and blah 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 blah. It's all cliche, you see.
Yes.
So many politicians will make promises, and quite often they won't keep those promises. Bill Clinton famously This is a very good example, by the way, of making promises that you can't keep. He promised all sorts of cuts, reducing tax. Everyone was going to live in complete opulence. But when he got in, he realised that the economy was really rubbish and he couldn't do it. So he had to do the opposite. He had to put all of the taxes up. People had less money to spend and they were not very happy.
Happy Mother's Day in Italy.
It is Mother's Day, and in the United States.
Really?
I believe it is also Mother's Day.
We haven't got anyone watching from the United States.
It is
Or
not.
have we?
It is not Mother's Day today. Here, we've had Mother's Day already. Oh, by the way, I had a lovely conversation with my mum on Friday. My sister visited my mother, who's in care at the moment. Not very well. However, we had a lovely chat, and my mother was really chatting away. And she said, when she saw my face on the camera, she says, "Oh, it's so nice to see your smile." And I thought that was lovely. I almost cried. I almost burst into tears at that moment. So my mum was so happy, and she had a great big smile on her face, and she looked so happy, and it made my day. I said to Steve, I said, I can't stop thinking about it. My mum's smile. In fact, as I went to sleep last night, the image that I had in my mind was my mother's smile looking at me, and she looked so pleased to see her son on FaceTime.
I wonder what she said when after you'd left.
Well, not everyone is as mean as you.
Oh, right, okay. Ooh, a sore point.
Yes.
I'm only joking, Mr. Duncan. I
May-
mean, I do know, your relationship between your mother and yourself.
Me and you might have a cliched occurrence as well. So something that happens naturally, but it's still a cliche. Here's a good one. You are waiting for someone to deliver a parcel, but then you go upstairs and you go to the toilet, and it's not a quick toilet. It is a long toilet, if you get what I mean. And then suddenly you hear the knock at the door, and there is an occurrence that might be described as a cliche. You wait, and then you go upstairs to do something else, and then the delivery comes to the door. What a cliche. It's a moment of time that happens, and it happens to all of us. Happens whenever you wait for something. You wait, and then you go away, and the moment you go away, the thing arrives. It's like you with your phone calls. Steve has his phone turned on in the morning for his work.
All day I'm sitting there.
He goes downstairs to get a drink of water, and then his phone starts ringing the moment he goes downstairs.
My customers, I could have the phone on all day and maybe not get one phone call, but then the moment I go downstairs to make a cup of tea, just have a break around the garden, I'll come back and there'll be 6 missed calls.
Yes.
Because that is a bit of a cliche.
It is. It is.
When you're not near your phone, people will call you. That happens all the time.
Here we go.
All the time.
Another one, as we mentioned earlier, to stereotype or pigeonhole someone. And one person earlier made a very good point. There are maybe a person's race or religion. And this is a very sensitive subject, and I do understand that for some people this is a very sensitive area. But yes, you might have stereotypes, cliches, or a thing that you associate without thinking. So you're not putting any thought into your decision or your thinking. And there are many instances of that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a certain culture might be seen as lazy, or maybe a certain culture might be seen as behaving in a certain way. However, it isn't true, because not everyone behaves or acts in that way.
You could say that a stereotyped British person is somebody, if you were to see a young British person abroad, you might assume that they'll be always drunk. And I think that is that is an image that we have abroad, that British people on holiday are always drunk, rowdy, and if they go to football matches, they get involved in fights and cause football hooliganism. Is a stereotype that is associated with British people.
That's it. But if you go to some countries where Western influence is rare. And when I was in China, again, this is another good cliche, but the opposite to what you said, Steve, they would always say, oh, English people, they are so polite and kind.
Yes.
And I used to always say, you've never been to England. If you went to England, you would discover that not all English people are polite and kind.
I think generally we are seen as sort of that way, apart from the English tourist going abroad to places like, popular holiday resorts.
An interesting suggestion, a woman falling in love with an alien. Yes, the Shape of Water. Good one. Yes, nice suggestion now, you see.
Is that a film?
It's a movie. Yes, it just picked up a couple of Oscars.
Oh, right, so it's already been done. We're too late.
Yeah, so there was a movie that picked up some Oscars called The Shape of Water, about a woman falling in love with, I think it was some sort of reptile man.
Well, that's it. I mean, if you can, if you've got maybe a pet lizard, then that you were in love with, then if an alien came along that looked like a lizard, you'd probably fall in love with them if they had a nice personality.
If lizards are your thing, then yes, do it.
Yes.
Go for it.
That's it. Interesting comment here. Anna says, very often a cliche or a stereotype can be a prejudice.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. And this goes into the same area as what I said just now about making assumptions about a certain person based on their ethnicity or their religion or their, well, I suppose race is the same thing as ethnicity, or where they live, or, well, anything really, or maybe even their class of living, if they are wealthy or not wealthy. So I think we do it all the time. I think it is human. It is a human thing to make judgments.
And we like to put people into boxes, into categories.
Yes. Pigeonhole.
Well, that's Belarusia says that she's never heard that word before. I'm sure a lot of people haven't. But yes, to pigeonhole somebody is the same as to stereotype somebody. It's to assume that somebody behaves in a certain way because of one or two observations that you've made about them, or because of their race or their what country they come from,
or no observations. You can make a decision about someone without knowing them at all.
Yes.
Maybe if a person is of a certain ethnicity, maybe they are gay, and you might make your own assumptions. Oh, he's gay. I've heard he's gay. Or watch yourself. Or
particularly if you have had a bad experience in the past with somebody of maybe from a certain country, a certain colour, a certain sexual orientation. If you've had a bad experience, then you can often then put that experience and pigeonhole everybody that's like that in the same way.
Yes. You can develop certain phobias as well.
Prejudices.
Yes.
Prejudices.
Yes. So yes, you're right. Cliche. Prejudice is
that's the word.
A prejudice is a form of cliche. You are right. Yes. And pigeonhole just means put someone in a certain category. You are making an assumption. You are assuming that person is like that.
Because you've had some experience in the past.
Yes, or no experience.
Well, you might have just heard, for example. You might have been to a football match.
Ignorance.
You might have been to a football match in Real Madrid years ago, and you were from Spain, and you went to this football match, and you were playing an English country, and the English fans caused all this problem. They started hurling things on the pitch and getting into fight, and so you might therefore, because of that experience, assume that all British people were like that. You might do.
Yes. But quite often prejudice can also just come from nothing, from nowhere, no experience, just what you hear. And
you've heard something. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, I'm not telling you.
Your parents might have said, I don't trust them. It could be somebody from a different village.
Yes, okay, so we've got to move on.
It could be somebody from a different village.
Mr. Steve.
Your parent, you might have grown up and your parents and your friends are all those people from that village, they're all, and then you develop, and you don't even know them. You've never met anyone.
Okay, good. We've got to move on, Steve, because as usual, we are running out of time.
Are we?
Yes.
It's 20-4 already.
Yes, that's so an overdone line or sentence in a movie as well. So again, cliches occur quite often in movies. I suppose you might say that types of movie as well. Superhero movies, they do bore me. I have to be honest with you, I'm a little bored with superhero movies because there is always a new one coming out and we're doing that again, are we? So there's always a good guy, the superhero, and there's a bad guy who comes along and he's the bad one, and then the good guy has to follow the bad guy and find him, and then at the end they always have a big battle at the end, boom, boom, boom. And that is a cliche.
Yes, but of course, when you've been around for a long time and seen this in many films, then obviously you're going to become sort of dull about all that type. Whereas if you're a teenager in your 20s, it's going to be still exciting.
But they've been making these films for the last 20 years.
I know, that's what I mean. But somebody in their 20s won't have been watching them for 20 years, but you've been watching them for 20 years, so that you're just bored with it now.
Yes.
So I think your age has something to do with that.
No.
Of course it does.
Cliches. Think of some new ideas, Hollywood. Think of some new ideas, for goodness sake.
Think of some new ideas for somebody in their 50s who is unlikely to look at any advertising and go to the cinema.
Here's another
Don't
one.
think they're making movies for us,
Yeah.
Mr. Duncan.
Okay, Steve, again, absolutely nothing to
They're
do
making
with...
movies for young people who spend a lot of money watching adverts. You've said this many times. You agree with me.
Well, I didn't say I didn't agree with you. It just has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Formulaic. Oh, so there is another word we can use. Something that is formulaic follows a certain path. So it is doing the thing that has been done before. So again, if you are writing a story or if you are expressing your opinion about something that you've heard, a formulaic thing, maybe the plot of a movie, as we just mentioned, something that follows a certain path. It goes in a certain way, and it's been done many times before. Formulaic. I like that word. Formulaic.
Yes, it means it's going to follow a pattern, almost like a formula would. You put certain things in one end and you get something else out the other.
A formula.
You know what you get. You know what you're going to get.
That's it. A formula is normally something done in a certain order and in a certain way. And at the end of it, bing, you get something.
And you always get the same thing.
Here we go. Something that exhibits no imagination.
What's going on, Mr. Duncan? It's gone very quiet.
I'm just looking at you. Something that exhibits no imagination. Might be a cliche. A thing that a person does or says is a cliche. It exhibits no imagination. A person might say something without thinking. They just say it because maybe they've heard another person say it as well. Expressions and proverbs can also be cliches because they are used often. So you might, as we said earlier, the plenty of fish in the sea might be a cliche, might be a type of cliche. Yes, I think so. And we're coming towards the end of this part, and then we have maybe 2 or 3 rounds of the sentence game. A cliche is a lazy thought or idea, and I think so. Yes, it can be. You say something or you do something without thinking. A cliche can also be described as run-of-the-mill. Oh, see, another one. Run-of-the-mill. Something that is predictable can be a cliche. Something that is run-of-the-mill. It's the same thing again and again.
Yes, it's a run-of-the-mill idea. In other words, we've heard it before.
Yes, and of course, hackneyed. Hackneyed. A hackneyed idea is one that has been stolen from another person or has been used by many people before. Hackneyed. So some very interesting words today, I have to say. Finally, commonplace things might also become cliched. So maybe on a summer's day, a beautiful summer's day, what might you expect to see on a beautiful summer's day?
A naked man. No?
Well, maybe in your dreams.
Well, no. You would probably see a nice jug of cold lemonade.
Yes.
And yes, people sunbathing.
Yeah, the sun.
Yeah, the sun. Yes, yes. Cool breeze.
So you have the sun, no clouds in the sky, everything's bright, and as you said, yes, maybe a gentle breeze, a summer's day. It is a typical summer's day. But you might also describe it as a cliche because that's what you would expect to find.
Yes, Anna, idioms can be cliches. I think we've mentioned some of those.
Yes,
already.
that's it.
What was the first one you mentioned?
Well, plenty of fish in the sea.
That's an idiom.
Yes, and
it's a cliche.
there is light at the end of the tunnel. Which is good. It's good. It has a nice sentiment. I think the meaning is nice, but you can use it too often, and then it becomes a cliche.
If anybody says anything to you that you think you've heard before, and many people have said it, or it sounds very similar to anything you've heard before, you can always say to that person, "Oh, that's a bit of a cliche."
Yes.
Isn't it? That's when you could say that to somebody.
Yes. So that's it.
Pedro's going. Goodbye, Pedro.
See you later, Pedro.
See you next week. Oh,
I will be back on Wednesday. Steve will be back next week.
I'm already upset.
Upset because Pedro's going. Okay.
Just got a certain image in my mind.
Okay. I don't want to know what that image is, to be honest.
Right, let's move on to the sentence game, Mr. Duncan.
Yes. Shall we have a couple of rounds of the sentence game? Do you think that's a good idea?
John just says, the ever-present pencil in the hand of Mr. Steve.
Yes.
Is that a cliche?
Yes. This is a bit of a cliche because Steve always has the pen and he never stops moving with
Well,
it.
I'm writing things down when I see them.
This is Steve when he's with me. He's always doing something with
Fiddling.
Yes. It's like some sort of
I
strange...
have my pen back. I feel lost without it.
It's like some strange nervous energy.
I like to fiddle with things.
Yes. I'm glad you said that and not me.
Oh, thank you, Rosa.
I know one thing that you're not fiddling with.
I'm not fiddling the books. If you fiddle the books, it means that your financial records, you've done something very dodgy with them.
Yes.
You've manipulated your financial records.
Normally, when you are trying to avoid paying any tax.
Yes.
Here we go then, Steve. Are you ready to play the sentence game?
I am.
Good. It's Sunday afternoon in the UK and you are watching the final 10 minutes of English Addict.
Have you noticed something today, everybody? Have you noticed anything that hasn't happened today?
Yes. My technology is working.
It's working, and why is that? I think you've solved it. You think you've solved it, Mr. Duncan.
I had to take some of my studio to pieces. I had to buy some new equipment as well, but it looks as if it has all fitted in very well, and everything appears to be working well. So I'm really pleased with that.
That means that nobody will be put off from watching us in the future thinking, oh, well, will they come on or not? We will.
The only problem is now I keep spending more money. So if anyone wants to make a donation to my PayPal, shall I put it up on the screen? Shall I be really cheeky and put it up?
It's a bit of a cliche, Mr. Duncan.
Actually, it isn't, because I don't often do this. I don't often say, please give me money. But don't forget, I do this for free. And I've had to spend some money this week.
How much?
You don't want to know.
Had to buy a new screen, didn't you, Mr. Duncan?
This costs a lot of money to do because there is equipment, there is internet that has to be paid for, there is electricity that burns all the time. And the problem is I have to make sure that all of these things are paid for, especially equipment. I have to be honest with you. Bulbs, light bulbs, just to get this lovely light onto our handsome faces. You see, it all costs money.
Mr. Duncan asking for money for equipment could be seen as a cliche.
It isn't.
Although it is.
It's probably the first.
Needed.
It's probably the first time in 3 years that I've ever mentioned that. The last time I mentioned it is when my computer blew up, and that was it. That's the last time, 3 years ago.
Yes.
So it's not a cliche.
I'm just trying to fit in with the theme of the programme.
Yes, but that's
in a probably unhelpful way for you.
Yes, a very unhelpful way. Anyway, here comes the first sentence game, Steve. Whatever thought you have in your head, please just hold it.
Interesting comment from somebody there.
What's that?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
Tomek, don't you monetize your clips? Well, some of them are, and you might sometimes see ads, but I can't put too many, you see, because then you will get sick of seeing them. And also, you might be surprised to find out how little people on YouTube actually earn from their videos. You will be surprised. It's only a few pennies that you get
It's not millions of pounds. It's only pennies.
Some people do. But anyway, sentence game.
Yes, okay. Then
Sentence
Steve,
game.
you keep
Get into that subject.
you keep undoing everything I'm saying.
You were going on about it, not me.
No, you're undoing what I'm saying. You know what that means, don't you? I'm sort of saying people don't make much money, and then you say they do.
Well, some do. Anyway.
Anyway, that was a waste of time.
Sentence game.
Yes, sentence game is coming up right
Is
now.
this what is the subject for the sentence game
Subject is
today?
just the sentence game today.
So it's not. There's no theme of cliches or anything like that. It's
There it
just
is.
could be any word.
Okay, Steve. Well, it's on the screen now.
It is something to something. People to recycle old something. 7 letters, 4 letters, and 7 letters.
Maybe it's something that people might ask to do, but it might not be a good idea, or maybe it doesn't make any sense. It is something to something people to recycle old something. By the way, I have used this before, a year ago.
What, the same one?
Yes. So I wonder how many people remember this, you see. So this is sometimes a good thing to do. So this is an old sentence game question. So I wonder how many people are going
Well,
to
I
get...
don't remember it, so...
Well, no. But then you don't remember what we said 20 minutes ago. So, you know.
I can remember exactly what we said 20 minutes ago.
What was it?
We were talking about cliches.
Well, that wasn't 20 minutes ago.
I'm sure it was.
It wasn't.
Right.
Anyway.
Nobody's got it yet. And the first letter.
And the first letter.
So it is...
Oh yes, of course. I see now. Yes, I see what I've done there, because there aren't any letters. I know. Did I really not do that in the early days of the sentence game? I didn't actually put the letters. That's interesting. I'm trying to remember what the word. Yes. Okay. The first one is M for mother. The second one is also M for mother. And the third one is also M for mother. So all of the words begin with M, the letter M for mother. Oh, that wasn't as hard as it sounded.
We've got a very humorous suggestion already from Valentin.
Mm.
On the choice of the last word. I was trying to think of something funny to put in as the last word.
Oh, I see. Valentin.
Yes.
It is useless to tell people
To recycle old condoms. Yes.
it's also not a good thing to do anyway. You know, please don't do that. Please don't recycle old condoms, because, well,
It fits. I think
yes,
Valentin
well,
should get
it might
the
not.
prize.
It might not fit if you reuse it.
I think Valentin deserves a clap for that.
Yeah. Well, that's what you'll get if you don't use a condom.
Might get the clap if you don't use any condom, and even using a used one or an old one would not protect you against STDs.
Okay, then.
Right, that's very funny.
You seem to know a lot
That
about
must
that.
be one of the funniest suggestions for a sentence game that we've ever had.
Yes, that's very
I think
good.
we should have applause for that.
Oh, I see. So I thought you were just making a joke when you said give them the clap.
I was,
Oh, I see.
but I also mean it, literally.
Oh, I'm just falling asleep here. Can you just do the rest of the show?
No, I don't know how to work any of these buttons.
That's true.
Well, we've only got the one suggestion.
Okay.
But we don't normally put the first letters up. We
No.
don't normally do
Yes,
it.
we do.
What, every week?
Every week.
I didn't know you put the
Yes,
first
always.
letter up.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. In front of the number of the letters, I always put the letter. But this one,
Oh, yes.
every word begins with M for mother. So your idea was good about reusing those things.
Yes.
Beatrice has got 2 of the words correct.
Ah.
Hmm.
That's yes.
Well done, Beatrice. You have 2 of the words, but there is another one that's missing in the middle. What could it be? Ooh.
Belarus is going ta-ta. Beatrice actually suggested as well that matches was the last word.
That's what
Earlier.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yes.
Very good,
Well
very
done,
good.
Beatrice.
Beatrice.
I still like condoms, but
I always remember there was a guy on television years ago who used to put the condom over his head, and he'd blow it up.
Belarusia is having fish with potatoes, carrots, and beetroot.
That sounds nice, except beetroot. I don't like beetroot.
Oh, I like beetroot. It's
Steve likes it, but the only problem is when you cut beetroot, the juice goes everywhere, and it looks like there's been some sort of mass murder.
what was that? When you cut what?
Beetroot.
Beetroot. Beetroot. Beetroot. When you cut beetroot.
I just turned the sound down then. Did you hear what I just said to Steve?
Oh,
What
dear.
did I say? It was not good, was it?
Well, you know, we like to rib each other. If you rib somebody, it means that you are having a bit of humour with them,
Yes, you're making fun of them.
making fun of them.
You're
Yes.
making a joke at their expense.
I like beetroot. It's supposed to be very good for you. But of course, it makes your urine go slightly red,
Yes.
pink. So, yes, I mean, if you have a lot of beetroot, or even, well, not even that much, about an hour later you go to the toilet, you might think that you've, got a serious condition because your blood, your urine should never go a pink colour, because that would indicate you might have blood in your urine, and that's very serious.
Yes. Can anything else change colour?
Pardon?
Can anything else change colour besides your urine?
Beetroot. I don't think it does anything else.
Oh, okay, that's a shame.
It's interesting. Yes. Anyway, right. Yes.
Okay,
What's the answer?
time's up.
And this is where we find out whether Valentin was right.
Time is up. Literally, time is definitely up. Bing! It is madness to make people...
That
Oh,
doesn't work,
wait
Mr.
there.
Duncan.
That doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense.
Grammatically.
Make people force... I think that's supposed to be force people.
Or you could just take the 2 out.
Yes. Well, it is madness. Oh, that's strange, isn't it? Okay, let's forget that, shall we?
Well, no, just take the 2 out and it will be grammatically correct.
I'm having a bad day. To get something... Here we go. Here's
I
one
still
more.
like what
This is
Valentin
right.
said.
To get something, the club, you will need some form of something.
Are you going to give us any clues in the forms of
They
the
both
first
begin. They
letters?
both begin with the letter I. Both words.
Congratulations to Vitas and Beatrice, but we are not forgetting
What?
Valentin.
What was going on then with that sentence game? That didn't make any sense. I don't know how I did that. I must write down the following note. Always check and make sure if you are reusing the sentence game questions, make sure they make some bloody sense.
Maybe if you went back and looked at the video where we did it, you'll discover that the same mistake was there.
That's the thing.
Yes, here we go.
Of all the things I could have chosen, I chose one that had a mistake.
Thank you, Rudra, for saying hello, respected sir.
Oh, is that you or me?
Well, it can't be me.
No. Oh, it might be me. Oh, thank you very much. You are welcome. Yes.
Initials, yes, both words begin with
I
I.
for idiot.
Both words begin with I.
I for impossible. This sentence game might be impossible.
Oh, yes. Beatrice has one of them, I think.
I think I covered my mistake very well there, by the way. I think I covered it very well.
English vibes. English vibes. I think you've got the first word right.
Yes?
Oh, yes.
And Miura has got it right completely. Miura. And also English vibes. Yes. Very well done. Very, very good. Oh, come on, Mr. Cockerel. It's time to have a tea cake and a cup of tea and also an episode of Columbo. I wonder who will be the villain this
So what's
week.
the answer?
The answer is... Bing!
There we go.
To get into the club, you will need some form of identification. And quite often we will use the phrase ID. So we will then contract those two words and use ID. You must show, or you will need some form of identification.
English Vibes was the first to get that because they used ID as the... So, well done.
Well done, good.
Done.
Good.
Well done to everyone. And
Shall we call it a day?
Yes.
Shall we say it's time to go, would you say?
it's time for ice cream, says Christine.
Oh.
Well, it's not warm enough here for an ice cream.
It doesn't matter.
Unfortunately. But we are going, aren't we? Yes, I will go first as usual because while Mr. Duncan wraps it all up, in other words, ends it, then I will put on the kettle, boil the water to make the tea and start to prepare the tea cakes for the toaster.
And just before... okay then, carry on.
That's it. So I just want to say wonderful again to be here and with you, Mr. Duncan, and to all you wonderful people out there in this huge, gigantic world of English on Mr. Duncan's stream. Forgotten what you call it now. English Addict.
You can't remember the name of the show.
English Addict.
It's actually on the screen.
English Addict.
It's on the screen
Addict.
in front of you.
See you all next week. Bye-bye.
See Mr. Steve in a few moments in the kitchen. Well, I will see him, but sadly you won't. And that is all we have time for today. That is all we have time for today. I hope you've enjoyed today's live stream, live from the birthplace of English, which of course is England. And I will see you on Wednesday. Yes, I am now doing my midweek live streams as well. So yes, I will be back with you on Wednesday from 2 p.m. UK time. And as I mentioned earlier, I will also be back on Sunday, next Sunday. I hope you will have a good weekend and also a good week. I hope you have enjoyed all of this for the past 2 hours. This is Mr. Duncan, that's me by the way, saying thanks for watching. See you soon. Take care. I will give you a few moments to say goodbye to each other. And until the next time we meet here on YouTube, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Ta-ta for now.